Good morning. Welcome to Gardening with James. If you have a question for James, call him at 734-4321 or email James at spreadingcompost@gmail.com. Now, let's go in the garden with James.
Well, good morning. Another great Saturday morning, even though it's pouring down raining out there. But, we need the rain, and, fall is here. So, we have to go ahead and respect that fact and get our gardens ready for spring and just keep right on rolling because, we don't slow down here. We talk about it all the time. So, but it's another great Saturday morning. Today I've got another great guest who's going to be on with us, and they're from Crossroads Christian Church in Lexington. His name is Caleb Mathis. Good morning, Caleb. How are you?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, not a problem. After I got a phone call on WHR, our sister station, one day, because I was talking about these churches should be, doing more about providing food. Got a phone call and said, "Hey, I've got somebody you need to talk to." So, so I had to go look you up. But
awesome.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us how long you've been with Cross Christian Church and what made you guys decide to go ahead and do some growing of food yourself.
Sure. I graduated from Danville High School in 2003. Go Ads! And went to Lexington to go to UK and got involved with Crossroads Christian Church. And I've been officially working out there for about a year. I'm one of the youth ministers, but also a big driving force behind the green movement there. And a big part of that are our gardens, our community gardens. We have 10 beds back behind the church, and we raise lots of different vegetables there.
Okay. And
then take those vegetables and just give them out.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's right.
That's right, because I know Lexington has quite a few churches and quite a few different groups that are going around and doing all kinds of great things for people who can't afford to have fresh food.
Right. Yeah, definitely. We believe that the good news, the gospel, is not just for people's souls; it's for their bodies now. And so we want to make sure people, especially people in lower income areas, are able to eat and eat well and take care of their bodies through eating well. And so we take that food and go right to the source and give it to them.
Yeah, because I know a lot of places, say like in the Danville, the Harrodsburg, the Mercer County area, a lot of those places in what we call as food injustice, because you've got a lot of little grocery stores and things like that, but they don't provide you with fresh food, that's grown here locally. And I know Lexington has quite a few little stores, huh?
Right. We have, our church is very close to the Woodhill area, which is lower income and, like you said, just lots of little stores, but not really any grocery stores close to there. So lots of, eating chips and drinking sugary drinks. And so we take all our produce, and once a week on Saturday morning, during the growing season, we just park a truck on the side of the road and invite people to come and have what they want, take their pick.
Okay, now when it comes to the volunteers, because I know you guys are 100% volunteers, how did that conversation get started as far as to how and who's going to be helping? How did you guys come up with that?
Yeah, well, we're a pretty sizable church, and we just put a couple of feelers out, people who are interested in gardening, and we had a lot of people that have home gardens, and they were really happy to come once a week and do some watering for our garden at the church, or to do some weed eating, and everybody just seems to pitch in when they're needed, and everything gets done.
That's amazing how that works out, huh?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, because now if this voice sounds familiar, you guys probably have heard of Joseph Mathis, who's all over our radio stations for Danville and the Harrodsburg. He calls. He runs the board, and you might hear his voice in commercials. Well, this is his older brother. So I just thought I'd throw that in because when you're listening to him, it sounds like you're talking to Joe. So I just want to throw that in.
That's good.
But no, that's really neat the way that you guys can just put the message out and then people respond to it because as I was telling you, because we have our first community garden, here in Danville, and it was amazing. You put the word out and say, hey, well, we need a few things to grow food, just to give it away. There's no charge, because we had an option. We could have sold, plots like $20 a plot. We provide this and we do that. And, for some reason I'm like, well, if they can't afford fresh food, how can they, provide $20 for the plot?
Sure.
So, it just didn't make sense to me. So we was like, well, we won't do it that way. We'll do it by asking for donations this year, to get our food crops together. And then if the Lord provides, He will provide the seeds for next year. And He's already done that. So I think that, that's a success all by itself. So, but you guys would like say, 10 4x8 boxes?
Yes. 10 4x8 cedar boxes.
Yeah. Do you guys use, like a, square foot or
This year we did square foot gardening.
Okay.
And so we went out there actually with yarn and marked out the square foots, and it seemed to work really well. Last year we didn't do that. We just sort of eyeballed it, and I think I'm definitely a square footer now.
So you've changed over.
It seemed to work really well.
Yeah, because I tell people all the time it's like 1, 3, 6, or 9 plants per little square, and if you get a 4x8 box, that ends up quite a bit.
It is, yeah. We have lots of produce. Sometimes more than we could even pass out. Right.
Because how many people can you really give it out to?
Right.
But the 4x, when you use those little squares and you think about it, because I've talked about it here on the show several times, and, it's amazing what you can get in a 4x8 box.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys plant 3 seasons or 2 seasons? How you guys do it?
We do 2 usually. This year we planted about May or June, and the drought, kind of slowed us down for a while, but we started to get produce beginning of July and started passing that stuff out, and then planted a few more things early fall.
Okay. Now I know, when you said drought, we was hit bad also because it was like 100 degrees for, quite a few days, and that's a lot of water and a lot of work trying to keep it going. So who was out there in the 100-degree weather watering?
That's a great question. Like I said, I'm one of the youth ministers there, and we actually had 2 middle school students, a 7th grader and an 8th grader, brother and sister, who are garden interns this year. So during the summer, they came twice a week, watered, weeded, picked the veggies, tied up the tomato plants on the cages, and they were a huge, huge help. And just all the work they did fed so many people. It's huge inspiration.
Yeah, well, it is because, I'm like you. We've had kids from, say, Danville High School who come over, and like I said, they come over, and when you ask them to do things, there's hardly any questions about it except for where do you want it, and, how long do you think it's going to take?
That's right.
And that's not bad, because if we don't teach these kids while they're young where their food comes from, then they're going to be trouble when they turn 25 or 30 and have to maybe cook their own meals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they actually came in no experience with gardens, and they got a green thumb now. I love it. So spread it on to them.
Right. Yeah, that's always neat where you can, like say, bring in those youth and you can really show them where the bugs are. You can, because it turns into an educational class.
Absolutely.
Because now, how many youth do you normally try to bring on? Is it 2, 3, 4, 5? How does that work?
Yeah, we had 2 for our 10 beds, and that seemed to work really well. From time to time, we would have other kids that wanted to come and help, and that was great. We just brought as many kids as wanted to come, but those 2 kids were always there twice a week, and offering that. Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Well, I tell you what, let's go ahead and get a quick break in here, and then we'll be right back. So hang in there.
question for James, call him at 734-4321 or email James at spreadingcompost@gmail.com. Now, let's go back in the garden with James.
Okay, we're back. We're talking to Mr. Caleb Mathis from Crossroads Christian Church, and we've been talking about the community garden that they have and the raised beds and how they're using the square foot method of growing food. And as I've been saying before, you can get a lot of food in a 4x8 and use a square foot method, 1, 3, 6, or 9 plants, depending on how big they're going to get. And at the end of the season, you can grow a lot of food. So let's continue this conversation. We've got about another 8 minutes or so. So now, what did you guys put in the boxes as far as the soil? I mean, how did you guys figure that part out?
Sure. We had some people donate soil, and so we had a big dump truck come and dump some good soil for us, and we had to actually, physically with the wheelbarrows, shovels, fill the boxes.
Yeah.
And we have a great help. A lady named Mandy is part of our team, and she's getting her PhD in soil at UK, and so she's a huge help. We got an expert on the team,
Experts,
and she's a big help, making sure that our soil is good and is going to give us the best plants.
Yeah, because it's important, as I've talked about on the show, it's not, first you got to get the soil ready to put the good seed in, and then you get good food.
That's right.
If you don't start at the dirt and work your way up, you're going at it backwards.
Oh, yeah.
Now this dump truck, I'm sure that took probably about 25 or 30 people.
It did. It took about 20 people, gave a couple of hours to go from a big pile of dirt and spread it around to those 10 beds.
Oh, I know. Now you're sweating bullets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's So now, when you went to school at UK, what did you go to school for?
I got an undergraduate degree in biology, and then I got a graduate degree in education.
Oh, so you got them on both sides.
I got it on both sides, yeah.
No, well, see, that works out real well with the community garden because you're going to need both.
It does, yeah. It's the bio degree helps in knowing what you're growing, and then obviously spreading the education, the knowledge around, to get more people involved to talk it up.
Yeah, because I always say if you keep talking about it long enough, somebody will finally hear you.
Absolutely.
But if you don't say anything, like I said, you're not passing any education around at all. Because as we were saying before we came on there, the stuff that we do shouldn't be a secret.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about growing food, you should be able to pass that information along to the next person. So this way, everybody will learn from it because, we have one thing in common that we got to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a choice between whether putting chemicals on our plate or fresh food on our plate. And now, do you guys have like a farmer's market?
We do. We, like I said earlier, we take our 10 raised beds. It's a 100% giveaway. Mm-hmm. And, so we take all that produce, and on Saturday mornings we have what we call our Agape Farmers Market, mm-hmm. which, it's basically just a free farmers market set up on the side of the road in the Woodhill, area of Lexington. And we have plastic bags, and people walk up, we hand them a bag and say, fill up your bag with whatever food you want.
Right.
And any type of produce. And we have lots of good conversations about, well, how do I cook a squash? How do I cook an eggplant?
Yeah.
And so it was a great, meeting your neighbors and just sharing your knowledge and passion of good food and helping them eat better.
That's right. Yeah, because when that's the second part. It's okay for these people to accept the food, but if you don't tell them how to cook it, it's just food sitting around the house that's probably going to spoil. So
Yep.
You have to be able to educate them on both sides of it, and that's really important because a lot of these youth don't know how to cook.
Oh yeah. The best part, we hand out like a squash on a Saturday is having someone come back the next Saturday and say, hey, I cooked that just the way you said and it was so good. I didn't think I liked squash, but when I cooked it that way, Loved it. So.
Oh, yeah, because there's a lot of good tasty food out there.
Absolutely.
Now, we got a few more minutes. Now, South Christian Church, now, what other things do they do besides grow food? I mean, do you have youth programs or anything to tell people about?
Crossroads Christian Church is on Todd's Road in Lexington, and we have lots of programs. We, like I said, I'm one of the youth ministers there, so we have middle school, high school youth programs for adults, and we are really focusing now on getting out into Lexington, helping the community at large. So we do like the farmers market in Woodhill. We do back to school rallies in the same area, handing out school supplies and backpacks, and really just trying to love on the city of Lexington.
Okay, no, that sounds good. Sounds good. Oh, and before I forget, I've got some Big John pole beans that at the end of the show that I'm willing to part with. They're from the Berea event that we went to. I was originally out of Letcher, Kentucky. It's full running bean. That's a heavy producer of tender, large potted green beans. The Big John, it also cans very well, and these seeds were picked in 2012, so they're truly fresh. So if you like this bag of Big Johns, when you hear the music at the end of the show, be sure to give me a call, and I'll make sure that you get those beans. And if you've already won here lately, let somebody else do that. Okay, so let's be fair about it, and because as we go along, like I said, I'll bring some more things in, and make sure that everybody gets a chance to win. But Caleb, I do appreciate your time coming in.
Yeah, thanks, James.
And talking about what you guys are doing, because churches around here have lots of land.
Yeah.
And it's okay to share it with the people that surround you, and to grow food and to help those that can't help themselves. Because that's part usually what I say at the end of the show is, if your needs have been met, help somebody else out, because the blessings will come back to you on the other side.
For sure.
So, but I do thank you for coming in and talking about it. And somewhere along the line, we need to get back and hold this conversation again, maybe in the spring.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Okay. So, well, my time is up, and I'll be back next Saturday. I think next Saturday I've got Mr. Bill Fontaine from University in Kentucky. He'll be on talking about something. He hasn't quite told me what yet, but I'll let him pick the topic this time as far as to how we can help somebody else out. So you guys have a great weekend. Don't worry about work today. Get out your seed book and just try to figure out what you want for next year. Talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Gardening with James. If you have a question for James, email him at spreadingcompost@gmail.com. Now until next week, may the sun shine on your garden.